Welcome, everybody, to House 6, our movie podcast about movies. We continue our journey through Academy Award history, going through all of the Best Picture winners of all time. And we are on number 6.
That's
and it is, sadly, yes, Jared. That's it. And it is Cavalcade from 1933 in Fox Films. So before I get down to a little information, we always like to start off with a little teaser of what we thought of the movie, but in only 3 words. So, like, if we were the ones making the poster, and for my 3-word introduction, I would say time flies fast. Anyone want to go next?
I'll go next. It never ends.
Okay.
No more children.
No more children. Whoa! Thomas?
Dark, sexy war. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the awards.
Sexiness were you watching? Was it a separate video?
No, there's plenty of sexiness on this pre-code stuff.
You got the wrong one. All right. The 6 Academy Awards were held on March 16, 1934 at the Ambassador Hotel, hosted by cowboy entertainer Will Rogers. The awards feature one of the first gaffes in award history when Rogers called up legendary director Frank Capra to accept the award for Best Director, when in fact it was Frank Lloyd who had won.
Oops.
Eligibility window for winning films of 17 months was the longest in awards history, and it would follow as the yearly awards as we know today for the 1934 awards. So it took a while, but they finally got it down to 1 year. This was the last time no film had more than 4 nominations, and was the only year when only the Best Picture nominees had more than 1 nomination. Walt Disney was the first person to win consecutive awards for the cartoon short 3 Little Pigs. So I'm sure you guys all have that song stuck in your head now. Cavalcade won Best Picture, then called Outstanding Production, beating out 9 other films, including adaptations of Little Women and A Farewell to Arms. Katharine Hepburn won her first of record 4 Academy Awards for Best Actress for Morning Glory. Little Women won for Best Adaptation. Cavalcade added Best Director in Art Direction to take home the most awards of that night. So now let's move on to the movie. Cavalcade is based on a play, and it was directed by Frank Lloyd, the first Scotsman to win an Academy Award, winning for 1929's The Divine Lady. And Cavalcade, he would be nominated 5 times and go on to become the president of the Academy. The film stars English actors Diana Wynward and Clive Brooke, with Wynward becoming the first British actress nominated for an Academy Award. The film was shot in London and is one of the first films to feature mild profanity.
What's your profanity?
The massive soundtrack.
Should I go over the profanity on that? Or
let's wait till the movie, because I missed it, so you're going to have to point it out.
I had no idea when that was.
Yeah. The massive soundtrack includes original compositions and popular songs. It has like over 50 musical themes on the soundtrack. The film was a box office and critical success, and was said to be a favorite movie of a certain German dictator who's going to go unnamed here. The film was Fox Films. Fox Films' only Academy Award for Best Picture before the studio merged with 20th Century Pictures, creating 20th Century Fox. And we all know they would eventually get bought by Disney and go back to the 20th Century name. So no more Fox, erased from history. So that is just a little info on the background of what was going on for this 1933 film. We usually start with the characters for the movie, so I think we'll start there. I think it's funny. I mean, what was her name? So it says it stars Diana Windward and Clive Brook. The husband character, not a lot to do in this movie, so I guess you could say it stars Windward more than him. But what do you guys think?
Yeah. I feel like she was definitely way more of the focus. I feel like,
Yeah, the mother, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they
Yeah.
weren't even really that much of the focus until it kind of got further into it. Because initially, I felt like we're watching the maid lady and her husband start their life and go on to their own things, and watch the kids do their own things, and you circle back around to the parents. Like, oh, okay,
This is
Interesting.
basically the first season of Downton Abbey. Is this first part?
A maid gets married to a butler, and
Actually, yes, that happens in Downton Abbey.
okay. So yeah, those like we said, Windward's pretty much the main star. Like Michael said, it doesn't focus on her right away, but she does. If we want to talk about this movie real fast, it just seemed like, my opinion, it just seemed like a bunch of stories and not like a whole cohesive storyline. And that's why like the main characters don't show up right away. It was kind of like we had another movie like that. I think it was All Quiet on the Western Front. It was kind of like that, where we don't meet the guy real fast. So maybe that was an old movie type of thing. So why don't we go through the plot a little? So we'll go fast. Tell me if you guys want to stop and discuss something. So this plot starts with a credit crawl. So it kind of reminds you of Star Wars with the little credits flying up in the air. And then the music going on during the title card sounds like a graduation. So sounds like people are graduating.
Does sound like that.
The movie actually starts on New Year's Eve, and they're going into 1900. And these are English people. So it takes place in England. Are they in London? Does it say where they are?
I think so.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Because they're in the same house the whole time.
So going on at this time is the Second Boer War. I believe it's the second one. So the guys are talking about leaving for war. The butler's like all into it. He's like, "Yeah, let's do this." And the ladies of the house are like, they don't really want to see their guys going to war, and that'll be a theme in the movie. Is the main lady, she does not like war at all and does not take well to whenever they announce it. So they go to war, and then we get this scene with the casualty list because the war's going on. So they go and check the casualty list, and they're like, "Hey, they're still alive." Hey. But then some other lady in the background faints because she screams and then faints
She
because
turns away from it and then screams and then falls over. Like, it wasn't while she's looking. I was like, what? Did it take a while for it to click, I guess, maybe for her?
Well, she looked at it, took 2 steps and went, "Oh."
Although we do have to touch back on before the dad goes off to war, because we get introduced to his sons, and specifically his youngest son, Joey, who immediately you realize is an absolute psychopath. This kid's like, "You're going to chop up into little bits, right, Daddy?" And he's like, "Oh, well, we don't need to talk about it." It's like, "Please say you're going to do it, Daddy, please." And he's like,
Well, even
little
when he
bitty
came back,
bits.
even when the dad came back, he's like, "How would you kill?" He's like, "We're not getting into that."
Yeah, that kid's crazy, and he grows up and he's still crazy.
I wanted scalps, Dad.
I want that seed to be noted. That
How did it feel, Father?
This kid's a psychopath.
What did it feel like when the light left their eyes?
So that's a good point. We do see kids kind of grow up in this movie. I didn't even register who's the kid, because there's a scene where these kids are playing. I thought they were all siblings, but apparently the girl is just their friend.
I think the girl is the friend of the mom's friend.
Yes.
Yeah, at that point,
Yeah. So that'll play a part when they get older. So there's another
They
scene.
don't get too old.
So we're still in. Dig it, Thomas. We're foreshadowing. So there's another scene where they're still in war. There's like this organ grinder guy downstairs, below the building playing
Just
music.
being a real jerk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Throw a coin at me.
Lay that down the street.
The mate's like, "Get out of here!" and throws a coin at him, and he's like, "Okay, I'll leave." They go to a theater where they watch the entertaining of the troops. This is probably Jared's favorite part, is the songs in this. Because they got that high pitch squawking that Jared loves.
No, that's fine. It's like the Snow White, just the lady singing. It is so grating on my ears.
That one dude's dance was really weird, where he just had his hands down, his legs were sticking out at either end. I was like, I can't really follow what you're doing, sir.
I'd love to see Michael in the audience.
So the Boer War is a war between the Dutch and the English, and it took
The
place
Bloody Dutch.
The Bloody Dutch. It took place in South Africa. It was kind of a colony war.
How long did it actually last? Because in this movie, it felt like a week.
Not
It's a
long.
weekend.
Yeah, it's not a very long war. I think it's 4 years or something like that.
Really?
It seems like a long war.
I don't think it was that long.
3 years. 1899 to 1902.
Wow.
Okay.
Seemed like the weekend, like Michael was saying.
So there's this stupid scene where they're like, "Where's Africa?"
Oh yeah.
I know
That was
where
real
it is,
dumb.
but
She's
where
like-
is?
She's like, "You stupid girl! I've never heard something so dumb."
Well, even like the butler's like, I know where it's at, but don't ask me where.
Everyone's like, "I know where it's at, but I don't know where."
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, what are we trying to get to here? What is
Well, I would just be like, Africa, it's there. It's like south. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know the grid coordinates.
It's that
It's like, where's England? It's like across the Atlantic. I don't know the grid coordinates here.
I
Just
want
that
the
way.
coordinates.
Yeah.
Below the equator, I don't know. Leave me alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was one character that never really had a purpose or any sort of like reasoning. Is that Annie character that like took over?
cook?
all? Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was like,
Well,
it's like,
was she giving
what
the
do you
butler
want?
like the side eye too? Like, oh,
And then she went
Oh.
and married that other guy and just was angry the whole time. The whole time she was angry.
Whole time.
The whole time.
even the butler when he got back, he's like, who the hell is this?
It's like, hey, what?
Yeah. So the boys do return home, like right after that
The
scene.
boys are back in town,
The
and that
boys are
song
back
starts
in
playing.
Oh my gosh.
like Knight's Tale.
Yeah.
So the butler, whose name was Alfred, he's
Of course.
all jazzed.
How
'cause-
cliche.
He's all jazzed because he's home and he like bought a pub
Oh
with
yeah.
help from Robert, the other guy. So he's like, "You want to be a beer maid?" And she's like, "Not really, but okay."
You want to be a winch? No.
I mean, he seems pretty old, but his wife seems like really older. I don't know.
So that guy died at like 40 is how old he was when he died. But I swear he looks like he's in his like late 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The inconsistencies with the makeup changes, especially in this first time jump, is astounding because like he looks super old. The mom of the original kids looks the exact same. The wife looks a little older of his, and then the dad looks older. Yeah, I was like, how much time has actually been? Like, I looked at the year, but you seem like you've missed 40 years. What's happening, dude?
War takes a toll on
It's all the
someone,
alcohol,
Michael.
man.
So the guys are all happy, but the happiness does not last very long because they get the news from like outside the window. Queen Victoria has died. She was. Do you know what she died of, Thomas? Was she just old?
I think she's just old. She was one of the longest living monarchs.
According
besides
to one of the
Elizabeth.
characters, she's old and needs her rest.
Yeah, old and needs
Right.
memes.
So the great queen has died. So everyone's kind of bummed about that. And then let's see, there's a ball, some kind of ball. They're like at a party. I don't much remember.
Oh, I thought you meant like a
So-
ball, like a toy or something. I was like, huh?
I don't remember a ball.
There's like a fancy party. I don't remember what they're doing there. It's after the
Oh
funeral.
yeah, okay. Like the
Okay.
street party or whatever.
Is it something? all I have is written down his balls. So that's all
I think they were all dancing in the street or something because the little girl went out because she was doing her weird dancing thing.
No, okay. I don't think that's it,
I
but
forget her
I'll
name.
get to it.
Yeah, from what I can tell, she died of old age. She reigned for 63 years, which is a long time back in the 1800s.
No
Yeah.
joke.
Well, when you're queen, you don't want to give it up.
So the title tells us that we are going to 1908. So we got to mention there's like title cards and there's this like procession of knights that like every time we go to a new.
Why did we switch to Robin Hood for a second? What's going on?
I guess it's because the title's cavalcade, so you got to like see a cavalcade.
Oddly enough, the butler was in Robin Hood with Errol Flynn, played the hunter.
Okay. So like we said, it focused more on the butler and the maid at first. So we go to Alfred's bar and he's kind of laughing it up with his boys. But we find out that it's not all good times for Alfred because he's late on the rent again. Apparently he's getting high on on his own supply. He likes to drink. It's so bad. It's so bad that his little girl doesn't even want to kiss him. He's like,
that was an unpleasant scene.
Yeah, it was because he's like, give me a kiss.
Too good to kiss your old man, eh?
We get this afternoon tea kind of thing scene where the main the wife of Robert. Why do I forget her name? Diana or something. She is visiting her old friends, the maid. The butler's not there because they told her. The maid kind of told him, like, don't be here at this time because I don't want you embarrassing us. There's this pompous guy. I don't even remember where this guy came from. He's a friend of hers,
You said it was
I think.
her cousin or something like that?
Something.
And then she married the Annie chick? Or he married the Annie chick, not she.
And he's like, I'm so cool the whole time or something like that. So Alfred does come back.
And it's like, this is why you wanted me out.
Yeah. He's like, how dare you people? And apparently Diana had given Fanny, who's the daughter of Alfred and his wife, he gave her a doll, or they gave her a doll, and Alfred's like, hey, I can afford to give her dolls or something like that.
But he kept calling him, you stuck up something. Something like that. But he was like, you guys are stuck up. And he's like, give me that doll. And she's like, no.
Knobs, I think he was calling him.
Fanny gets like upset and runs away, so he's got to like run after her. There's like a bunch of stuff happening in the street at that time for some reason. I don't know if they're having a party or something. And then Alfred dies. He gets run over by like a fire truck or something.
Yeah, it's a fire engine.
Yeah.
It was a carriage. It was a fire carriage.
Horse-led fire engine. And
which I hope that was a dummy because they just ran straight over.
I don't think it was, dude. I think it was the actor. I didn't see a cut or anything.
They the rest of the movie.
They did not stop.
He's like, I'm ready. I got this.
Guys, script change.
So this was a creepy scene because like they tell her that Alfred's died. She runs out there and like starts crying. But then you see Fanny just dancing in the street, like, my dad's dead.
Plan worked.
So we move on to 1909. A year has passed. Fanny wins a prize for something, singing or something like that. She gets like a bear. This other girl can't take it, man. She wanted to win.
Yeah, the one crying.
And she screams her head off, man.
All the way home, too.
Well, then the dad like picks her up and like walks her right through the crowd.
I'm like, her while they're walking.
Yeah. Go around, dude.
She was like, Fanny sucks.
We get kind of reintroduced to Edward, who's the older boy, and he's grown.
Grown like 20 years in 8 years.
Yeah. And he's got sweetheart Edith, who was that play friend he had. And they're kind of sweet on each other. He takes her down to the beach. Are they?
The mom was like, you think they're romancing? That's how she said it. And I was like, oh my.
He's like, they're not romancing. They're disgusting.
he kind of proposes to her. He's leading to that. I thought he was going to, but he never kind of.
He's just like, I really like you.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah.
And she's like, look at the big steamer. Foreshadowing.
But not like too foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing is in the next scene.
So 1929 comes around.
No, 1909. 09.
Why did I put 29? That's way in the future.
That'll be way in the future.
Yeah. 1909. Edith and Edward are on a boat.
Let that hang.
They're talking. They talk about, what do they talk about? They talk about like the future.
They talked about some very like awkward things. Like, I really wish I had other love affairs because I would have learned tricks for you.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
And then she's like super depressing. She's like, do you think we'll be together forever? I want to make sure and keep you, but we probably won't be. He's like, how long do you think we'll have? Oh, I don't know. A long time, forever. And then they split.
Like she's like, that's why they cheat, because they get bored of the tricks.
Yeah,
I'm like, we can
this
move past that.
relationship has no stability.
Please move past.
I think these kids are gonna make it.
They got a bright future ahead.
And then we get the shot of the boat's name.
RMS Titanic.
And it's the Titanic.
I'm surprised there wasn't like a slide whistle when it showed the names. Like,
Well, the way they do it, they part and it goes,
Yeah.
right?
Suckers.
Oh, man, that's sad. And then to get even brighter, we go to 1914.
Oh, it's just bundles of laugh there.
So Joe is older too now, and him and Robert are talking about all the political situations going on in the world.
They're not talking. Joey's like reveling and like eagerly anticipating murder and death of millions of people. And he's like,
he's been
yes.
waiting.
Magnificent was his favorite word. Everything was magnificent. You're like, God.
Think you'll get called
Oh yeah,
up?
yeah.
Guy's a
He was kind of
psychopath,
creepy.
man.
I forgot he said that. He's like, oh, magnificent.
Crazy.
He's like, bring on Japan, bring on China, bring on America.
It's like, it's the whole world. Let's do this.
So they're talking about it, and then it comes like announced in the street, hey, we're at a war. And they're like, okay, we're at war.
He's like, let's celebrate and drink. And his mom like,
You just hear a champagne bottle.
So the next scene, Joey's in his Joey's in his uniform. They're kind of giving a farewell party. And he sees Fanny for like the first time since he's been older. And he's like, hey, that's for me. Because she's like a famous dancer. And so she dances. She doesn't even sing at that part. She's just dancing. That would have been awkward. I don't know. So he kind of he likes her, so he gives this guy some cash so he can like sneak into her room, which is not a great plan. Because she like goes in there and starts undressing, and he just stands there, and it's like I don't think girls are attracted to that, but
well, I think it was funny is that because he was like, oh yeah, cool, I'm here, and she's gonna turn around and be surprised. It's like she's not turning around. She's not turning around. She's getting undressed
with the door open.
Yeah.
And he kind of like looks around. He's like, door. And he like, well, I like how he like hits the door, and she's like, oh, and he goes like, hi.
And she's like, what the heck are you doing in here? And he's just like kind of pervy the whole time. He's like, hey, you know me. And she's like, I have no idea who you are. And he's like, no, you do.
Well, he's like, my name's Joe. She's like, I have a dog named Tarzan. What about it?
Yeah, I like that.
So finally she remembers him, and then they're okay. It's all okay now because they're friends from a long time ago. So they go up.
Works?
That's how it works.
Okay, cool. I need to check on some.
Haven't you watched anime?
Okay.
They go up on the roof, and she's like, hey, look, a Zeppelin.
I got very happy at this part.
Yeah, Thomas got very happy.
The fact that they're like, there's an air raid. Get in the basement. Let's go to the roof.
Yeah,
The
they're
crazy
all
psychopaths
psycho.
go up to the roof.
Okay, but credit where credit's due. This was a cool scene. Like the fact that we actually got to see an air raid and it actually looked
You
somewhat
just like
realistic.
the Zeppelin.
I like Zeppelins, okay? Just besides that, the fact that we actually got to see a bomb drop and like the thing exploded on a
Yeah, but our characters were like, "This is exciting and
Was
awesome."
it, Thomas,
well,
was
she
it
said
magnificent?
glorious.
Was it
She said
magnificent,
glorious.
Thomas?
No, she said glorious is what she said.
So she's a little psycho too, because she's like, "Ooh, let's stay out here and we'll just
Yeah.
watch."
What did he say? He's like, what am I grabbing? It's like a squish banana. I'm like,
Oh yeah,
I don't know what
That's
you're
my
grabbing.
makeup bag or something like that. It's like, what? Why? Just go
Well,
out
how
the
did she
door.
know all of a sudden like what he was grabbing?
She's like, I know what a pile of squished bananas feels like.
Oh
my.
no.
Oh no.
So we go to 1915 and we get this kind of long war montage that lasts like 3 years. So basically it's soldiers marching. They're like singing.
There's like faces just singing at you.
This was actually a cool scene because the soldiers kept marching in a continuous like feed, and into the war it's like a meat grinder. They just kept pushing soldiers and they just keep dying and dying.
Mhm.
And what's kind of cool is that when it shifts to 1917, Yankee Doodle starts playing, and that's when America entered the war, which I thought was a really cool detail. So
Yeah, so we get marching, we get dying.
lots of dying,
Lots of
lots
dying.
of dying.
Skip ahead to 1918. Joey's still into Fanny, and Fanny's still into Joey. He
I bet
meets her.
Joey's into Fanny. All right.
He's on
Our
leave.
British listeners can't listen to that part.
He's on leave, so he visits her at her club, and then he proposes to her, and she's not.
You want to do this?
She's not.
That's
that
how I'm
happy.
gonna propose. You want to do this?
You in?
Get it done. She's not that happy about it because she's like, we're different classes, you know. I come from your maid and butler, basically, and Joey. I don't think he has to go back home. He's got to see his mom before he leaves, and he doesn't. He's not going to tell her because he knows that she probably wouldn't approve. So he goes back to war. He meets this bright-eyed soldier who's like, "Yeah, can't wait to get to the front," or whatever. And he's like, "Yeah, sure, sure, pal." And I gotta go visit my dad. He does. Kind of a weird scene because he's like, hey, you over there. And he's like, go away, I'm busy.
Turn around, old man.
He doesn't even recognize his own son's voice, I guess, but Robert's there. I don't know, he kind of gives the orders. What is he doing?
He's just a colonel.
Yeah, he's just kind of there to boss people around.
He's supposedly he's a lord, right? Is what they call
Yeah.
him. So yeah, he's probably some kind of higher up.
So they talk about stuff.
Oh, I have a interesting tidbit.
Fit your tid, Thomas.
Sorry. Okay, so World War I was officially the last war in Great Britain, at least, where you could buy your commission. So if you had a wealthy enough family, you could buy a commission in the military. And that's how most of the military has worked since like the beginning. You had a few people that made it from rank and file up to commissioned officers, but normally it was the ruling class that was the commissioned officers, not because of merit, but because they had to actually buy the commission from the government.
Interesting.
And how English did it for a long time. They were like, let's go to war, I'll pay for it. All right.
Well, that's the thing is that after World War I, a lot of the nobility died. And they also like, yeah, maybe this isn't the best idea. So maybe we should officially have military schools. And yeah, that might actually work better.
So we get the reunion between the dad and Joey, and then we cut back to Jane. Jane's her name, not Diane. Diane's her real name, but Jane, she's not very.
The mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
She hates war throughout the whole picture. kind of like crying about it all the time, and she sees people like she does not have a high opinion about it, which is understandable because her husband and kids are in it. And then they're talking to her. Oh, the maid. She's like, hey, you want to know something? Joey and Fanny are gonna get married, and so Jane's not too happy about that. She's like, I don't know about this. And she kind of tells her to just like get out of her house, stop talking.
The way that she says, like, they're having an affair.
Yeah. So Jane's not too happy, and she's like, "Get out of here, man! I don't even want to talk to you anymore."
Get out of here
but
with that mess.
Before she can leave, though, they get the news that Joey has actually died in the war. How does she react? I'm trying to remember. Does she
just fall to
faint?
the ground?
Oh, yeah, I think
Yeah.
she faints, yeah.
Lots of things to be done.
Though it was a more immediate reaction than that lady at the train station.
It wasn't delayed. That's true.
Take 5 steps and faint.
So the end of the war happens. We get this montage of kind of the world changing. Everyone's like doing drugs and stuff. It's like the 60s of the time.
The gays are also a thing now, apparently. Did you not see that part?
Yeah,
there are a lot of like weird little text tidbits in there.
Yeah.
No. So
times they do changing. We get Fanny. She's singing. She's like famous now. We go to 1933, and this is the end of the film. Jane and Robert are old. She's playing something with her friend. I can't tell. She's just throwing stuff.
Look like cards or something. I don't know what.
Bridge. I don't know. No, you need people for bridge, but I don't know what the heck they're doing.
Some kind of British thing, like, oh, this is the big button. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that one.
So they're like, they talk about New Year's and like this is their tradition. And they're kind of talking about the future. Robert, they say, is always an optimist, so he thinks the future is going to be okay. So we get that montage again about apparently it's not going to be okay.
Well, this is 1933.
Yeah,
some things are about to go happen.
Little did they know what was coming up. But they drink to the future in peace. And that ends our movie. Jared, you had thoughts about the ending of this movie. What was it?
The end?
Yeah, you said it would never end.
Oh, it's just this movie. I felt the time. It just felt like I was aging with these people. Oh my God. I just feel like the movies are getting older, worse.
Really?
Yeah.
So this movie is an hour and 52 minutes, I think. So just under 2 minutes or 2 hours. And go ahead.
Did everybody watch this on YouTube?
No.
I watched it. I rented it from Apple.
Yeah.
Oh, Amazon. It's free on YouTube.
I had to download.
I didn't know that.
Work without internet.
Oh, I forgot. Sorry. Anyway, go ahead, Jared.
I don't have much to say. I just really didn't enjoy this movie. It just not much happened. You just follow these people around until like from a certain time to death, and you're just like, I guess I don't know. And they're not. None of them are that enjoyable. Although Michael talking about Joe is kind of fun because it's kind of crazy.
If he hadn't have died, he would have become the Joker. The kid just wanted mayhem, man.
I don't know. The music I didn't like the music. I just feel like the audio is getting worse in these movies. I don't know. And there wasn't like a scene, like, you know, how every movie there's like the scene. There wasn't a really one that stood out to me. I don't know. It was just a cavalcade of mess. And just
So did anyone have
go to your room? Go to your room.
Anyone have a positive opinion of this movie? Thomas, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually really like this movie a lot, believe it or not. This I think is probably a period epic, I guess would be the best way to say this. I really did enjoy the passage of time between all these characters and how these two families were affected by the specific events in the world. It's kind of funny is that they include the Boer War. That never gets talked about ever because it's so overshadowed by World War One that happened right afterwards. And then the same thing happened to World War One right after World War Two. Like those are the things that stand out. Uh, I, I actually like the acting in this. I thought this was pretty decent. Nobody seemed too over the top. I mean, yes, I know the dialogue's a little dated, but I mean it's almost 100 years old. So, and that's even further back too. Is that this was 20 years removed from certain parts of the movie.
I was actually gonna say that's one of the positives is the dialogue didn't seem terrible from the other
I like the
movies.
dialogue. It's just I know some of the wording is a little dated, but everything that they said actually was very comprehensive. I didn't really get lost in the plot where it didn't make any sense. Everything like flowed really well. The thing that it would the standard will always be: is it better than Broadway Melody? Yes, yes, it is. I actually like the music in this, but I like older stuff. Like I'm the old movie guy, and so I generally enjoy this type of stuff. The camera work in this was actually pretty cool and pretty great. Two shots specifically stand out for me. One is when they're in the London house at the very beginning, and they start in the hallway by the staircase, and the camera transitions into the room through the doorway to where they're at. And I mean, this is 1933. The cameras are about as big as a car, so that's a pretty impressive camera movement for that. The other one was during Jared's favorite part, the play. Is when they are inside the auditorium and they focus on the stage. The stage production's going on, and then when the production is like, oh, clap, 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 whatever, is when it turns into the box seats where the main characters are at. So this is like probably in a real stage, so they had to build a whole crane operation inside that stage, get the lighting appropriate, not just for the stage for the camera to capture, but for the people in the box as well. So the production for that is, I don't even know how they would do that in 1933, but that was amazing. So that, and the fact that the montage that we get for the war going on, World War One going on, and like I said, the meat grinder is pretty much what I got from that. Like, we're just funneling people into this, and more people are dying. More and more people are dying. Nothing seems to be changing. America's into the world. More and more people are dying. Nothing seems to change. And there's always a presence of each part of this this movie, is that everything is set off by midnight. Something always happens after midnight, and Armistice did happen at midnight, which I think is weird. Like because World War One was weird. They didn't just end hostilities when they agreed to it. They had to set a specific date. It's like, no, we'll end at midnight. Well, a lot of operations were still going on. A lot more people died for no reason. And this is what brings us to that. And so, yeah. I really liked this movie. I thought this was a really good movie. Probably the one I most enjoyed so far, besides All Quiet on the Western Front. Which I think is weird because like it seems to be like if it's about World War One in the best pictures, we enjoy it. So I did enjoy this one. So yeah, that's mine. Anybody who wants to go next?
Michael.
I'm actually in complete agreement with you there, Thomas. I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I like you already brought up the acting. I thought it was actually like way steps above what we've seen so far. There were a few like weird dramatic moments where even the wife, she like spiked the camera twice, like almost intentionally, where she's just like boom right there. Like I was like, that was kind of weird. But every character I thought was really, really well done. It also might just be, I feel like when British actors are just generally better than everyone else at acting. I don't know why. I just feel like you watch something British, I'm like, it's usually better.
So quick thing is that apparently they record or they they set a camera and a mic inside of a production of the stage play to record it for the actors for them to watch.
Huh. Interesting.
So I'm like, that's kind of weird and kind of cool. Like in 1933, it's like, oh, we taped a play for you. What?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then like you said with the camera work, there was another one that I was thinking about where the main husband and wife are entering that one party, and the guy's like announcing everyone, which he announces too many people. They should have just started with a few less people. But the camera cuts out to someone else going in, then comes back into him, and he's been putting on his glove the whole time. You can tell it's like a one. There are a lot of one takes in this that were just surprising, like you said, for being back then. But and he never quite got his glove on, which I was laughing at because he put it on her and there's his pinky's still sticking out a little bit, or like the glove extended because it was that one shot, and then I doubt they wanted to do that again. Probably. But he played it off well. But apart from like the camera work, which I agree was really, really well done, there's the editing I was surprised with. Like there were a lot of like intentional transitions, which I feel like we haven't seen yet. Like most old movies, it's fade to back, fade to black, fade back in. But there was the one where
circle fade.
Yeah,
Cross
like
fade.
where he's singing old Lang Syne and then it transfers into the band playing it. Or there's one where someone was doing some action and it just gets mimicked in the next scene, where they had a lot of really good transitions where it kept the flow of the movie really, really, really well, in my opinion. So yeah, I felt like this movie was very, very just pleasantly surprising. Like the story I was into, I liked that kind of like separate from the war. Like we're just seeing like the effects of the family. I feel like some of the characterizations, like I keep bringing up Joey, was just ridiculous in my opinion. Like he was genuinely psychotic, and I didn't understand how he wasn't put in a psych ward throughout this movie.
He fought over cake with his brother.
He did. He fought. Yeah, they chunked the cake on a lady's hat. Lady was kind of cool about it, so I was appreciative of that. But even the things like they bring up at the end where the Joseph made the joke of times they do be a change, or whoever the heck said that. It's just very interesting of that kind of like extreme dark moment. Like they give the different people trying to hold on. You have the politicians up there, the preacher that's like you getting like a little bit of his monologue, and just different people kind of trying to take hold of this just mess that's happening with humanity, where like Thomas keeps bringing up so many people died for just needlessly. And it's like, I don't know. I thought it was a really, really interesting kind of, I'm blanking on the type of movie this is. Not place and time movie. What the heck they call these? What do you call it? Period piece. There you go. I was like, I can't think of what the phrase is. But yeah, I thought it was really, really well done, and what they were aiming.
Have you ever seen Atonement?
Mm-mm. That's what Keira Knightley.
Yeah, and James McAvoy. This movie reminds me a lot of that. You need to watch that.
I know nothing about that movie, but it's always been on my list.
Just go into it blind. The book's really good too, by the way. It's like,
how is he going to see it if he's blind?
Like that one guy at the end who's reading Braille.
Oh yeah.
Well, all of them.
Yeah, they were all trying to do Wicker and stuff like that. Yeah, so for me, I'm a little more on Jared's side. Just because the story was so disjointed. It wasn't like cohesive. It just seemed like a bunch of little vignettes about this time period. Like we said, the main characters don't really get much to do until half of the movie's over. I actually, of all the characters, I think I enjoyed the kids. I like their kind of stories the most. The mom, I couldn't understand her sometimes. Like, there's this scene where she's all upset about them going to war in the beginning. And she keeps saying something, but I can't figure out what she was saying. And like she like yells out the window. Do you guys know what she was saying?
I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember. I could not make it out.
I don't think that was her. That was her friend.
No, it was her because
I know what Joseph was talking about, but
yeah.
I remember having trouble understanding. I think I did get it on the last one, but I can't remember what the heck it was now. But I remember being like, what is she saying over and over again?
I'll agree with you. The acting was more naturalistic than we've seen. There's a scene where Robert like kisses Jane, and it was a natural kiss. It wasn't like that overplayed stuff that
where they like smash their faces together.
Yeah. It seemed like they were actually kissing.
Although we did get Joey and Fanny with the weird like cheek hug. They're just like talking with their cheeks facing the camera. You're like,
yeah.
I will like what Joseph is talking about. When Robert comes back from the war and he's like, "Everybody, get out of the room! Get out of the room! Get out of the room!" And then he
Oh, yeah,
actually
that was
kisses
very
her.
genuine.
Like that was a genuine moment. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would have liked more character work. I know they wanted to point out these times in history, and we've seen other movies after this that'll try to do that too, where there's like they want to tell a whole kind of century of stories. So it's kind of hard to focus on characters if you do that, because characters come and go from the story, and they age and stuff like that. So it would have been nicer if they focused on the family instead of like that part with Alfred and the maid. I mean, I guess it kind of tells you where Fanny came from, but it just seems like that those two characters we didn't really need that much story from. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. It wasn't my favorite movie. It was just it was kind of boring to me, for lack of a better word, but it wasn't like boring where I just wanted to leave or something like that. It wasn't like bad. It was, you know, like
Not
you said,
Broadway melody.
it wasn't Broadway musical. It didn't have that, like Jared said, it didn't have that one scene that I really loved. Even from like some of the worst movies that they have a good scene, like Cimarron. Like Cimarron was kind of crazy, but it had that good courtroom scene with Yancey and stuff like that.
Anything with Yancey was great.
Yeah, Yancey was great.
He's the best ever.
Yeah, so that's kind of my opinion on the Star. When we get to movie number 10, we'll do the whole decade and kind of tell you what our favorites of the decade were and kind of
number
rank
5,
them.
right?
Mm-hmm.
This was 6.
6.
Yeah.
Oh wow, we're farther along than I thought.
So we will come back next time with probably our first real iconic movie. And that's It Happened One Night from 1934. So the big stars, big movie. If you want to subscribe to us on this channel, so this is House 6. This will also be a podcast. So if you're listening from podcast land, that's thank you for that. But for everyone else, they're probably on YouTube seeing this. And if you want to email us, you can do that at house6moviepodcast@gmail.com. We have another channel. That's our main channel. It's called That's Good Stuff, where we do newer releases. So go check that out. We have another channel called That's Weird Stuff. We do kind of weird stories, it's kind of our mystery channel. We have Jared just created a new channel. That's Good Anime. So he's doing stuff over there now. Select Your Players over there too. You can find all these on our YouTube page. I have at the bottom of the page, you can find our channels and subscribe to those. Yeah, Instagram. What's our Instagram handle?
That's Good Stuff Productions.
Okay.
All one word.
So yeah, leave any comments. We appreciate those. Like, subscribe, and notify yourself for even more good stuff to come. And we will see you next time. Bye.